Orange Country.
Okay, Gina, I'm just going to jump in here. Welcome everybody to Orange Country. We have had a bit of a disaster this morning as the tsunami that took over the West Coast a few days ago has really messed with Gina's equilibrium and her studio. So I'm just proud that you're here at all. Thank you. And tell me what was happening before we started recording this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm suffering the aftermath of Hurricane Hillary, for sure. I came to my studio and would love to blame this on the hurricane, but I cannot because I just simply forgot my keys. I don't know why we have keys anymore. That's coming, but it's just been that kind of morning. So first I was like, I get to the building where my studio is and I do not have my keys. And I don't know why we have keys anymore. You know,
Right.
We live a keyless society. So when somebody's like, you need to have this little piece of metal in order to get through this door, that seems stupid to me. And I'm frustrated by that. I want a touchpad. I want a code. But I didn't have that. And so then I had to go. My studio is 40 minutes away. So I had to go to this other facility where thankfully somebody had the key and I was able to get in. And then when I got in here, the ceiling from the flooding must have been from the hurricane. The whole ceiling is, honestly, this is risky. We might get some live action of me getting crushed to death because the ceiling.
Oh man, I don't want you to die, but that could go viral.
It would definitely go viral. And I can probably, there's 75% chance I'm going to make that happen for you, Shane. So
just a little something, a little drop. I mean, It wouldn't be terrible since Mercury's in retrograde. And when I said that, you rolled your eyes and said, yeah, I'm sure that's what it is, but it is. And that's a thing. And
it's a thing for me. Clearly, it is retrograding all over me as we speak.
So she keeps looking up for those of you who just listen.
Because it's kind of scary. Let me just see if I can show you.
Okay.
Okay. So
oh my God! Plus the light is flashing like you're in a horror film.
I want you to be able to see the back, but I don't think you.
That does not look good.
No, it's not good. And then the other side of the room is even worse, I think. So it's not great. I will tell you that much.
Well, I feel terrible because I've been making fun of California in general for making such a big deal over this hurricane. In Santa Barbara, there was water, there was no water on the shelves. And I was like, what are these people preparing for? And of course we get a light drizzle and the sun was still shining. And then there was this earthquake. So I'm getting text, I feel in my head like I'm being judged because we moved here and everybody's like, oh, you got a hurricane and an earthquake.
Right.
But the truth is we felt nothing. I was sitting in my car when the earthquake happened and I actually thought someone was pushing on the side of my car because I think in my head an earthquake is going to shake.
Yeah.
But it's more like a wave. And by the time I got the alert on my phone, it was over and I was like, oh, that's what that was. I really thought maybe, I honestly couldn't explain it. I thought somebody was pushing on the side of my car, which makes no sense. But I looked out like it just felt like a wave or something. But with that said, I am sorry that I downplayed the severity of this hurricane that I felt like people were losing their minds over. And apparently where you are, it was a different story. So I take it back.
It was a little more severe. We're quite far from each other. So I think we should establish that. California is so large and I don't think people quite understand the distance between you and I is a good 2.5, 3 hour car ride.
Yeah.
And so the weather is pretty significant. And I do believe that I'm more South Orange County. So I'm like almost San Diego. And I heard that San Diego got it pretty good.
Okay.
So I think this was just, kind of part of that. I also think it really shows that we Californians are not prepared for weather because we so seldom get it. So I don't think we build our structures as soundly as people on the East Coast, maybe who are, more used to weather. And also, I have to say, my first thought was, it seems like not that great that you're getting the alert for the earthquake
after.
Either during or post earthquake. I feel we need to work on that.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too, but that was the only way that I knew what the hell was happening. And what's funny about what you just said I was thinking about the not being prepared for weather. The one great thing about that in California is that you can legitimately get out of anything. Like I was supposed to do something and it was like, well, the hurricane's coming. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. Right. In Nashville, tornadoes ripping through downtown and you're like, I don't know if I should still drive over. It's fine. It'll be over by then.
It's swirling to the left. We're good.
It's true. The weather is stopping nothing there.
Have you
school
seen?
Is happening and people are like, rolling down ice. Now ice is another thing, but
the ice is dangerous. But people still go out in it. Us too. I remember slipping and sliding, getting to college classes because they were not canceled. So they did not care about ice. They were like, you could put your skates on and you could glide there. And they did not care. So I remember, it's just a different place, right? Because if you shut down for weather on the East Coast, you'd be basically not able to ever work in the winter, right? So they just you have to take your chances. You just roll the fucking dice at that point. So
yeah,
Zoom has helped that a lot. Now there's no escape, no excuse for anything, but I still think people are braver.
You have to show up. And I feel
here,
like
no one goes out in the rain.
Right. Yeah. Well, people, I understand it. Spray tans, hairdos.
Right. But these people literally treat rain like it's battery acid. They're like,
yeah, they do.
We can't go out in the rain. It's the best time to go shopping. Target is dead. You could just sail through those. You could supermarket sweep if you want. You could have a whole challenge in there that day. Empty.
So
anyway, we're going to persevere. We're going to persevere.
That's what this episode is about: surviving. It's about getting through the dark,
right?
And we're gonna.
And I'm telling you, I see light up there. So
light through the hole, or you're seeing light? Like I see light. It's gonna be okay.
100%. I visually, literally see light through the ceiling.
The sunlight?
Yeah. Or something, there's light up there in the rafters. I can see through. There's a giant hole up there. I'm a little frightened. I just hope no animals come out because I don't do animals.
I know you don't want the animals, but dear God, dear podcast Orange Country gods, would you please let a little something fall on Gina's head? Because that clip, woo, you know how many people we'd get listening to this show.
I do, because that would be my I shit my pants moment.
I wish somebody was there that I could set up. This
my God,
past week, my son hid behind a couch, and I was working with some songwriters. I was working with Josh Osborne and Casey Musgraves came out, and it was so much fun. We had a blast. But my son loves to scare Casey. And he hid behind this couch. And we have this thing that almost sounds like a wind chime, but we were inside. And I told him, I said, don't overdo it. He overplays his hand. I told him, I said, just barely touch that when she's sitting here. That's how you'll scare her. And so sure enough, he just barely touched it. And she jumped and she looked at me and she was like, what just happened? And I go, it's probably just the wind. It's not a big deal. And she goes, that was not the wind. I do not feel any wind. There's not a wind in sight. And then because she was sort of on guard, he decided he would do it again and he got caught. But his little hand came up. And you know when you're scared already, you can kind of morph something in your mind. She swore that the hand was E.T.'s hand. And she said, she goes, I saw little E.T.'s hand come up, and she jumped off the couch. And I thought that would give him away, but she was still as scared as ever. And then she was like, what's back there? What's behind the couch?
I so appreciate that. I love pranks. I like scaring my kids.
I like pranks too, but I don't want to walk down my hall and somebody jump out at me like that.
Yeah.
I
love that. No, I don't like it. I like doing it to people.
Yeah. So we don't really have a topic today, but we do have some questions. We've been asking for questions. Do you want me to ask you some of these? A lot of them.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by Studio.com. Studio.com is the home of the world's best online music classes. Whether you want to level up your skills in songwriting, production, singing, or a lot more, Studio offers over 100 premium classes. So there's something for music makers of any level. Instructors include a 5-time Grammy Award winner, Her, world-renowned DJ Kygo, One Republic frontman Ryan Tedder, Broadway legend Idina Menzel, pop genius Charlie Puth, and of course, me, and many more. In my class, I teach everything I know about the Nashville approach to songwriting and about my own approach. I bring you into my studio and share with you my entire creative process from start to finish. I write 3 brand new songs in front of the class from scratch, on camera, explaining everything I'm doing and mostly what I'm thinking along the way, because songwriting is mostly in our head and our hearts. Hopefully, it's hard to explain until you actually see me doing it, where I'm saying, this is how I got this idea, or I'll jot something down, or I'll record a piece of music and then I'll put it all together, play a little on the guitar, play a little on the piano. I'll get into lyric writing, storytelling, melody, song structure, collaboration, and so much more. So head over to studio.com/Shane to check out my class or explore over 100 other amazing classes from the world's best. And again, that is studio.com/Shane. Okay, the first question is, and I think we kind of know this from the show, but the first question is, what happened with you and Shannon? I think that one's for you. Maybe because I've never met Shannon.
That's very broad, because I do feel like this is sort of an ongoing theme for me for probably 6 years now. But I guess what's going on is in a nutshell, I went on Watch What Happens Live, and then Shannon went on Watch What Happens Live after me. And I noticed that she wore the same skirt that I wore. And I just thought it was funny. I'm like, I'm gonna make a joke out of this. So I put it up and I said, Shannon is clearly, good, enjoying my LTK links. Like, thanks, girl. Like, keep shopping. And
that was funny.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It was a joke. You know what I mean? And she has to just take it a different direction. And she certainly did. She made herself a victim, and she, I hate that crap. It's like she was like, as if I was attacking her, and she had to again let me know, like she usually does, that she's better than me and nobody likes me and nobody cares what I'm wearing and nobody cares about me in general. And I'm like, wow, how did we go from we're wearing the same skirt, that's funny, didn't say anything about the way she looked in the skirt, actually posted her approved, photo of herself in the picture, completely filtered, super flattering. That's what I chose to use to be kind, and it was a joke. And then it's like, she's got to take it. So she's got to be so vicious. And I'm like, you know what? If we're going to go there, then I'm going to defend myself, because there's no reason to take something that could have been, honestly, it could have been a bonding moment between Shannon and I.
Yeah.
She could have saw it.
That's true.
And she could have been reposted it and been like, yeah, girl, you got great LTKs, keep on the hustle, anything.
Tell everybody what LTK is, because every time you say it, I think it's LMK, let me know.
Let me know. It's another acronym, same letters, but it's Like to Know. So it's a website where it's a fashion website where everybody's posting about what they're wearing, trends. You could find really good outfits there. I was a consumer of this website prior to having my own platform on it, but so many people ask me about what I'm wearing, and I get that, right? And that's kind of like the new modern way to shop. And so I always try to provide information about the things that I'm wearing, and then it's kind of just like one source where you can have your own page and it's everything about what you're wearing, and you can tag it, and it makes it really easy, and people can follow you there.
Do you get anything for it?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so that's like, and honestly, it is cool, right? Because we do have this platform and I do have this opportunity, and people are interested in the things that I wear. And so you are essentially just free marketing for all of these brands.
When that happens, who pays you? Is it the brand? Do you have to?
It's Like to Know. So it's their website. So they're like a third party website. But then I'm assuming that all of these brands pay Like to Know, right? Because it makes sense. Because then they don't. And then it's sort of like affiliate marketing in a way. Like I walk around in the things that I walk around in because clearly that's what I like. Nobody's going to tell you to. And also, I do think it's a better thing to be selling and for consumers to purchase, because that I'm not just wearing something because I'm trying to make money. I wear what I like, right? And then it's like when I wear what I like and then people like that and we have this platform, these brands should, participate in this and give us a little kickback for marketing for them, essentially. If I'm taking the time to link the items, show people where to get them, exactly the prices, and I'm walking around with them and showing interest, it makes sense, So I think it's a really good website. I mean, I've purchased things through Like to Know from people that I like what they're wearing, and
I feel like
at the end of the day, it was a joke.
I mean, I think
you're so stylish. You should absolutely be doing that.
I have gym shorts on constantly. I wear the same pair every day if I can wash them. And
we all do that. We all have our uniforms.
People would like to know where I got these. Okay, so here's a question. Oh, somebody's just a statement. No politics.
Okay, well, we don't really, we're not heavy into politics. We're like more into.
But I don't I hate when people tell me like stay away from politics. You're not in charge of me. Okay. But yeah, if we want to get into politics, we're gonna. But the truth is, I don't think you and I give that much of a shit about politics. But because that person said that, I want to talk about it.
Let's have a debate.
Okay. When did you, this is a good one for you. When did you realize you wanted to be on a reality show? Because I've heard this story and I actually love, because you really never did realize that you wanted to be on one.
I suppose when they asked me to be on it. I suppose when they asked me, like literally and I guess just in general, when going through the audition process, you do at some level have to say to yourself, what if I get on this, right? But really, I never let myself go that far, because who really thinks that that's going to happen? You know what I mean? It's different for someone like you to be a songwriter and to be writing a song actively and to be like, I wonder what this is going to be like when this song comes out. Is it going to be a hit? Is it going to be a dud? Like, you go through all these things, I'm sure, in your head. But if you're just somebody who writes chicken scratch on paper in a notebook at night next to your bedside, you don't really go that far to really dream and think it's actually going to happen until somebody steals your journal and they're like, hey, do you want to make a record? And we're going to then you're like, what the F, So I never thought about it. It's probably good, because I do feel if I thought about it, I don't know if I would have done it.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry.
I love this laugh on your face.
I'm laughing because I just realized there were a lot more questions than I had seen. And some of them are so funny. Basically, it said, what do you want to hear them talk about? And I love one person just put anal. Yeah. Which made me laugh so hard. No politics, but please talk about anal.
All right. I hear that.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I'm not against it.
yeah.
I'll be honest. I feel like when you have the right partner, you're just kind of into all of it. Like everything feels good. And, you know, I mean, you have to have, I'm not like into like bestiality or anything weird.
I love it went from anal to bestiality. I mean, I don't, mind maybe little role playing like a bear here and there, if that's bestiality.
No, that's different. That's like, what is that? There's a term for that. Grizzlies or something.
Fuzzies.
Furries. Yes, furries.
Okay, I
Trav
love this
basically
one.
is a teddy bear because he's a very hairy man. So he basically is a furry. He's my real life teddy bear. I love him.
Is he hairy? I've never seen him
hairy.
without his shirt on or anything.
Yeah, he's very hairy. But it doesn't bother me. I'm like, oh, you're manly. It just like, just nothing about him. Well, things about him irk me because, we've been together for 4 years. We actually just celebrated our 4-year anniversary.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like a week ago, where we both forgot because it was the same day as back to school day. And then about halfway through the day, we were like, oh shit, it's our anniversary. And then we went for like low key sushi. It was actually really lovely. I feel like it's kind of cool when you get to the point where life is so good that you don't feel like you have to overdo big moments because like every day is just like nice,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're terrible at stuff like that about anniversaries and stuff.
Cards are annoying and
we just also are. I feel like one of the jokes we always make is it feels like we have had such an incredible few years of just, travel and just different amazing things that have happened for us. I'm like, it just feels like every day is our birthday. It's like if I make a big deal about my birthday or whatever, I'm like, I'm probably just at that point overstimulating. I don't know.
It's too much.
I just think it gets a little ridiculous when I'm like, it's my birthday. And people are like, oh my God.
Right. Like you're already in Thailand. Like, what are you going to do?
Right,
you're at Machu Picchu right now. Where else you going, man?
Go
to the Cheesecake Factory and get a happy birthday.
God, I love Cheesecake Factory.
Me too. It's so good. Wait, can I ask you some questions?
Yeah. Do you have some?
No, yeah, because I'm genuinely, these things I do actually think about. Like, I'm so curious how one becomes a songwriter and how do you, like, what is your, obviously not, because now you're an advanced level. Like, don't teach me how to write a song right now, because I also know that you do that. Like, you teach people, and I am really interested in that actually. But I just want to know, like, when you were coming up, like, did you write full songs? How does one start to write songs?
It's such a good question, and a question I get a lot because people are like, how did you know you knew how to do that?
Right.
And I just always did it. It's so weird. It has to be divine. It has to be a gift from somewhere else because it doesn't make a lot of sense. I didn't grow up around a lot of music. My parents liked music, but there was no piano. There was no, we didn't take music lessons. Neither of my parents sang or played any instruments. But I loved music. I just was obsessed with mostly country music. But what happened was I started at a really young age, like 9 years old. I would imitate writing what I heard on the radio. So basically, I would write parodies, which kids do a lot. My kids do this, where they're writing different lyrics over the melody of another song.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And so that was the first song. I would come up with different words over melodies. And then, I was just always, I had a tape recorder and I would record myself singing. And then I got another tape recorder. And what I would do is it's almost like being a producer at 10 years old. I would play the one of me singing into another tape recorder and I would sing with myself and maybe like tap out a drum sound on the table or something. I didn't know what I was doing. But the thing is,
but
no one showed me that.
Do you know how that's like Spielberg shit?
Well, when it's funny, that movie really, it really inspired me.
We have a family, what would I say? Our friend's daughter was in that. Our friend's daughter, Birdie, was one of the daughter in it. It was so special. Yeah, I got to go, and she had like a little premiere, and we went in LA. It was so cute for her. She's so talented, and her father, McAnally, is an actor as well, and they are like a father-daughter duo. They're like phenomenal people. So shout out to Manny and Birdie. Keep crushing it. Yeah, they're incredible. The Fablemans, yes. It was phenomenal.
Absolutely loved that movie. And
that's what that reminds me of.
You put that together because that is
with the train and the thing, and that cannot be taught. See, that to me is ingenuity, but that is true passion. I watch my kids get passionate about something and they want to do it, and they'll do it for like a half hour, but then if it's stressful or they realize how much work it's going to be, they bail out.
Right.
It's the kids that really just stay on that and do the stuff that you're doing where you don't know what you're doing, but you're trying different things and you're committed to it. That you are a songwriter.
Right. I mean, that I think because ingenuity is a good word for it. It was just something that I had to figure out. And I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to go to a studio. I didn't even know that, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I just I used the cards I was dealt. And I would, even as far as beyond just creating, I was obsessed with the whole business of it. I would take all my parents' records and I would set them up like a store. And I would,
I love that.
I just liked anything to do with music, records. And at that point, I didn't really know that songwriting was a job. I thought you had to be a star, the one singing, if you wanted to sing songs. So I went to Nashville thinking that I needed to be famous. And, I chased that for a very long time and honestly didn't think I was writing songs for other people for years. I thought I was just writing them for me. And then eventually someone recorded one of my songs after I had been in and out of Nashville at that point for 14 years. And when that happened, it was like, oh, okay, this is a thing. Like somebody else could record and sing my song and it could get a lot of attention. I could actually make a living and I still get to do what I love most, which the number one thing I love doing is writing songs. And I like performing too, but it wasn't my destiny to be, Adele. It was me writing songs, hopefully for someone like Adele. And then along the way, figuring out the performance aspect of it by doing things like this and by doing a songwriter round and telling stories. I'm a storyteller, when it comes to the performance part of it. And ultimately songwriters are storytellers too. I almost think that's even a better word for what I do, but that's how I became one. And when you talk about just getting in there and doing it, I went to Nashville. I didn't know anybody. The only place I knew of was the Bluebird Cafe, which is where songwriters could put their name in a hat and sing songs they had written. I drove right there and did that and met people. And so
ballsy.
Yeah. Well, and I think you just have no choice. And when I see that in other people and they're like, well, if I could write with this person or if I could get in this room, if I could do this. And I say that it wouldn't, first of all, it's not going to happen. Second of all, it wouldn't work that way. You have to do it your way and let people come up around you. The greatest gift has been that I met a tribe of people at my same level and we came up together. And,
that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
so who are these people?
And now we get to really appreciate, like Josh Osborne is somebody I write a lot of songs with.
I know Josh. I've met him. Yeah, he's a great guy. And I saw him, I'm pretty sure it was Josh, was performing when I went to the listening room.
Yeah.
He's absolutely phenomenal. Even when he performs.
Oh, he's an incredible singer. He's an incredible songwriter. And so many of these songwriters are. Yeah. And then you have Brandy Clark, who I wrote the Shucked musical with and also have written with for, years. And there's a lot. There's a group that I came up with that that have gone on to do wonderful things. The guys from Old Dominion were friends of mine for years. Walker Hayes was somebody that I wrote and worked with for a long time, and so it's really fun to have. It would feel differently if someone came along that didn't know our history. It's that we did it all together. And so we can really appreciate and be happy for each other. And there's not a sense of competition because we're just like, oh my God, in the beginning, we were just waiting for one of us to have a hit. If we felt like if one of us could have a hit, then it was possible. And
that's awesome that you supported each other in that way, though. Usually it becomes an environment that's super competitive and almost like you can see it going that people are hoping that the other ones don't get hits because they want to be the one, So that's such a unique, like interesting group of people that are obviously good people. And that's probably why ultimately you did all come up because you had each other's backs and you were supportive to each other. That's really cool. It's really commendable too, the whole group to be still so intact and supportive.
Yeah, it really is. And we don't get, now we're all busy. We used to take these trips out to this, riding trips out to this little cabin, to this lake outside of Nashville. And none of us had half of us didn't have kids at that point. We were just, we didn't make any money. This woman loved songwriters and she would rent the cabin to us for $200 a night. And there were 6 of us. And, and what's so cool is a few years later, Brandy Clark bought that cabin.
That is so rad.
Yeah. Stories like that. It's just
you should put that, if you do anything this next upcoming year, 2024, you should put that trip on the calendar with all those guys.
God, you're so right. Nothing would be so amazing. It's been over a decade since we've done one at all.
Wait, so then this kind of segues into something that I've been curious about. And I think like we kind of touched on this, but I don't really understand. And if you could explain this to me, because I want to talk about Taylor Swift, because that kind of lays into, she writes her own music, she performs her own music. And then there's that whole, now all this news that's coming out is about Scooter Braun. And people are allegedly dropping him as the manager. Can you kind of like, and then there was that whole Kelly Clarkson gave her the idea to rewrite her music and re-record it so that then she could own it. But like, I still kind of felt like, is that really, seems like he would have an argument there. So can you just kind of explain all of that? Because if you're not from that world, none of it really makes sense to you.
Yeah. Well, so we'll start with Taylor re-recording her albums. So there is a difference between writing your own songs and having a record deal when you go in and record your own songs. She still owns the publishing of the songs, which means the song on paper, Taylor Swift wrote it, she owns the property. When she records it and they put the music out, that is called a master. So it's different than the song itself. That's the music, the whole thing. So the record label owns the master forever. Okay. And so there have been deals in the past where people held out for their masters, or they had it in their deal that after a certain amount of time they would get their masters. I know Garth Brooks famously kept his masters, obviously a very good move. And it's not different than like when Oprah Winfrey got her show and she wanted to own it. And they basically didn't give her a bunch of money up front for her to own a bigger piece. Now, a lot of times in record labels, that's not even an option because that's not, it's not like you could say, give me less money and I'll own my masters. Because ultimately that's the long-term an investment that a record label's making that.
Right.
Oh my God, my dog is barking. Basically, Taylor, realized probably too late in her career, because at first when people are nobody, they're just glad to get a record deal. Somebody's going to put their music out and
foot the bill for it, which is more important probably to
that's right.
artists.
That's right. But then what happens is you get down the road and you becoming Taylor Swift is such a, that's such a level that, that
most
you can't
artists don't
predict is going to happen. I mean, she must have predicted it or it wouldn't have happened, but what you don't really know what it's going to feel like when your music is taking over the world and you don't own it. And so,
yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that what happened is she had some sort of falling out disagreement with her label that had been brewing for a while. And I don't really remember her history with Scooter. There is history there, but basically what happened was he got involved with her record label and at some point and she was going to leave the label either way. Her deal was up. Okay. She had already made all the records that she needed to make for them, which was a lot. I mean, It was like from country to pop to, I want to say Reputation was the last record that she made. And that's a lot of records when you look at 1989 and Fearless and Red.
Consistent.
Yeah. So she finally got out of her deal. And then when something blew up with her label and then Scooter Braun bought into that label, basically her thought was, yeah, I'm out of this deal, but they own all those other records. And I am a machine. I'm an industry. And I am going to be basically supporting this label that I do not like. And
she should have her own label.
Well, and basically, she has a record label now, but I'm sure she owns most of what she's doing. I don't know the deals of that. But but basically what Kelly Clarkson said to her when there was sort of a story about like she's leaving her label. And I think maybe she said something that was like, well,
she said, well, why don't you record? You should just re-record your music. And I think, when I read it through too, Kelly had it seemed to me, because I obviously wasn't there, I don't know, but it seemed like I love Kelly Clarkson because she's just she reminds me of myself, right? Like she's just so genuine and she's thinking in the moment and she says what she says. She doesn't know the details. And
no, she wasn't.
That
she
makes
was not.
sense
it
to
wasn't
her.
calculated.
No.
And honestly, it's so brilliant that I think it's funny because I'd forgotten that. I remember that happening, but I'd forgotten until it's come back in the news.
Yeah.
That Kelly was the one who said that to her. I mean, how Kelly came up with the idea that's like, well, if you don't want these people to benefit from these records you made, re-record them. And then when people go on Spotify or wherever you get your music, this will be your newest release, even though it'll be a re-release.
Yeah, and they'll want the newest, freshest version.
Yeah, and she called it Taylor's version, which all her fans are going to be like, that's what I want.
I'm going with Taylor. Yeah.
So I think it was a way to get around basically the fact that all of her masters were owned by not only someone else, but someone else that she didn't like.
But now, isn't that kind of like a big deal to all record labels? Because now, in theory, can't every artist do that?
They can. There's probably now some legal points that'll keep you from doing it.
Yeah.
But there's very few people that it would make a difference. Taylor is one of 5.
Because her influence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't think that a lot of artists, it would be worth going and doing that. Plus, most artists don't break from their labels like that.
Well, but it's kind of like if you command and you have gotten yourself to the level that you do have that kind of influence, those particular artists, it seems like it's fair to allow them to do that because they should be able to. Like if you really have made this record label this successful, they should just be like, thank you. And I feel like they should now appreciate and, kind of release that because they did help build your shit and make it what it is, right? It makes sense. But also, like, I understand as a business owner, you made a deal, and you're not going to want that deal to walk out the door. So I get both sides of it.
It's such a fine line. I think that it's hard not to think, look at what they made off of her. That there's not a point where they go, you know what, we're going to give you these back or make a deal with you where you get most of them back, but we'll still get a piece.
Yeah, ultimately, like a reverse mortgage.
Yeah, as it shrinks.
Yes.
Well, and honestly, it they still benefit. I mean, they still have her records out there, even though they're not Taylor's version now. They have made so much money off Taylor Swift. And like you said, they made the initial investment. They went out on a limb, but she went so far above and beyond that. And she's also the hardest working person I've ever even heard about.
Yeah,
and
me
so,
too.
The fact she re-recorded those records, I mean, that is the ultimate FU. I mean, it is like, and the fact that Kelly said that, apparently I've read that the scooter thing, that he actually called Kelly Clarkson's manager when she did that and said, I cannot believe that she just said that. And,
I can't believe nobody cut Kelly a check. You would think Taylor would write Kelly.
Hell, she probably has.
Send her
flowers. I feel like she takes care of everybody so much.
Right?
But as far as this new thing with Scooter Braun, and I don't know him.
And I'm confused because I thought he was the manager, but then he developed a record label. So he got,
he bought into the record label. I mean, I think he's in everything. I have no idea why this would be happening. I feel like there's something that by the time this even airs, we'll know sense.
More. Yeah.
I mean, for them all to pull the trigger around the same time, there's got to be information coming.
Yeah.
There's got to be maybe he's starting a new venture. Let's think on the most positive side. Maybe everybody leaves because he's about to get into a situation where he can't manage people. I mean, a lot of times when you go and you're going to take over a corporation or a big situation, you wouldn't be able to manage people. So maybe
this is like maybe an acquisition type.
Yeah, maybe he had to, like, all his clients
merger,
had to leave.
Say all of these business words that maybe. Yeah, I've been watching a lot
merger,
of
acquisition, corporation. And then you just keep using those words, and eventually everybody's nodding. But
hedge fund.
But I have a feeling it feels like it's something negative. That's the most positive way. It doesn't feel good the way they're doing it. So we'll see.
No.
But
we'll see. We'll stay tuned on that.
Yeah. So there's your music business lesson.
That is interesting.
Did you have any musical interest at all growing up?
Yeah, I did actually. I sang. I loved to sing growing up. I loved to sing growing up, but I have stage fright. Okay. So it's hard for me. And it was one of those things growing up. I was really good at sports. I was athletic, and it came down to I would do I did NYSMA, I did Skimia. I don't know if any of those things mean anything to you because where I'm from.
I have seen the movie Narnia. I've seen Narnia, and then I've heard of Kismet, where people meet.
Kismet, yes.
But no, I don't know those words.
They were the singing groups. So it was the Suffolk County Music Association. That Suffolk County is the county that I grew up in. And then NYSMA was the New York State Music Academy or something. Okay. So when I was younger,
it's a big deal to be in this Nemo.
Yeah, cool, I mean, you go and you have to perform your performance and you get ratings and I was in choir and all that. And I really did. I loved it. I loved to sing, but I'm going to be honest, in school, it was hard for me because, athletics were big and popular. And I think I was scared of a lot of stuff in high school. And so I just like to fly under the radar. And I remember it got to the point where I was in high school and I was in choir, but then my choir teacher wanted me to do the madrigals, which was the group.
Oh, we did. I have heard of madrigals.
And they dress up, and I was just and now I regret it. I wholeheartedly regret it because I loved it and I think I would have thrived in it and enjoyed it. But I was looking at those outfits and I was like, this is Gina, social suicide. I can't get in that outfit.
Gina, I have to tell you something so funny. We have the exact same story, but for different reasons. This is actually, so choir in our school, and they had a group like madrigals called Kaleidoscope. I was already singing. I mean, I was singing on the weekends. Everyone knew I sang. I sang at talent shows, but I would not be in choir. And the choir director would come and talk to me and say, we do these competitions, and I was a really good singer, the best singer in school. Mm-hmm. But I was not going to be in choir. And it was, you know what the saddest part is, truthfully, was because I was so afraid that someone might think I was gay because of it.
That is sad.
And much like what you just said, I have a lot of regret about that, because the truth is I would watch them do stuff and I would think that would be really fun. I bet they're having a lot of fun, but I didn't act like I thought it was fun or cool.
And you would have really enjoyed it the most.
Yeah, because it was natural to me.
Yes.
I was basically making up those shows in my bedroom and doing them by myself. But I wasn't going to do them on stage.
I was singing everywhere except for where I could get some credit for it, you know?
Absolutely.
And it is sad, because it's kind of like I feel like it's important to just admit that and be open to admitting that, because I want kids to hear that, because I don't want my kids to make that mistake. Like, if it's not the cool thing, if it's not the whatever thing, but it's something that you really enjoy and you're passionate about, you should be doing that, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think honestly, and the drama, like I would watch the plays and I would be so excited and loved every minute of it. Even our high school shows, I thought the kids in high school that did the drama were so talented. They put on these plays that blew me away, because, you know, I also didn't have a huge, you know, it wasn't like I was going to the city every day and seeing Broadway plays. So like, to me, that was like, oh my God. And the energy that I would feel and how alive I would feel watching it, and so wanted to participate in it, but would never have the guts or be able to allow myself to even really admit that. And now later in life, you know, just being myself, my natural self, I still found myself back into this entertainment industry. And now I kind of go, wow, what could I have done if I just allowed myself to dare to try the thing that I really wanted to do and I really would have wanted to have been successful at? It was just easier. I was good at soccer. Everybody thought I was good at it. And it was just easier, because if I failed at something that I didn't really care about, you know, it wouldn't hurt me. But if I tried and failed, I think it would hurt me.
There must be some tie to you ending up on the show, though, because I don't believe you end up in a situation that some part of you didn't dream on some level for yourself. And I don't know that it was in the form or the package that you thought, but I think if you saw yourself in a performative situation, if you imagine, God, I wish I was brave enough. I wish I could do that. And what happens is the universe sort of answered in an interesting way with you, which is you really kind of got swept up in it. And the next thing you know, you're on television. And I think that is very telling of when people say, like, do dreams come true? Is it, I know it wasn't, maybe you weren't down on your knees going, God, please put me on a television show. But there was some part of you that really wanted to have that. It is a performance element, even though it is a reality show. And even though you're being yourself, it's the same thing when I worked on this show Songland on NBC for a minute. It was just me doing what I do every day. I was just, you know, working with songwriters and fixing up songs. But it was so fun because I don't know if it was because there was an audience. I don't know if there wasn't a live audience, but I don't know
if entertainment purposes.
Exactly.
Because you get the opportunity to showcase something that you do, but entertain people with it.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And I do like it. That part of the show, I love. I love that I get to be myself, but also entertain people. And people are interested and they want to watch. And I almost feel like, okay, so I always regretted not participating in that. I looked at it like that was the opportunity, as I think a lot of people do when they get out of high school. And those are formative years, you know? And so you get to a certain point and you're like, well, that ship has sailed. Now that I'm here and that door has been reopened, I feel like I owe it to myself to really go after any and all opportunities that present themselves, because I am not going to not walk through the door a second time, especially with what you said. I do believe that this was sent to me. And I do believe that me, even during like a bad time in my life, being brave enough to take this chance has served me well and has opened up more and more doors and opportunities. And like, even though I still am scared about those things, I don't care. I'm still going to do it. And I think that I wish that I had done that when I was younger. And I'm very lucky that I have this opportunity for the second time, because most people don't get that.
I love every single thing you said. I just love it. I just want to like write it down and
sing it.
And yeah, I mean, and honestly, if it shows up in a song, don't be surprised. But I'm not putting your name on it. I'm not giving you credit, but
I'm gonna go talk to Kelly and Taylor about that.
It'll be Kelly will be like, you should go after that. You should record that song.
Yeah, dreams come true.
You said yeah.
I was trying to do a little Kelly twang.
I have a question on these questions. I keep glancing over at some of these other questions. Is Peggy Salahian, is she the girl that was on OC for a while named Peggy?
She was on for one season. She actually was on the season prior to me coming on. And I've had... Beautiful woman. Stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
She's a Persian woman.
I remember Iranian. because Kelly called her a different name, and she said Peggy's. Oh,
it was extremely offensive.
Peggy's
right?
an ugly name.
Yeah,
or an ugly person's name.
But she also did something very. I remember something was offensive, but that's just the standard there. So.
Yeah, but anyway, I remember Peggy. I really liked her. Anyway, someone asked us to.
Yeah, Peggy.
Her.
I think that, when I watched it, that was the season before I got on, and I wasn't watching it in great detail because there was, I was busy or whatever. But I remember that's when I kind of was really like in my head thinking, I don't think I'm going to watch this show next year. I remember because not that Peggy was a bad character, it just stopped making sense. The show overall.
I think they were just trying a lot of different things.
Which I feel like is what was happening when I got on the show. Yeah. And then for the first couple years there, I felt same thing. They were taking characters out, putting in characters that didn't necessarily work. Like they were trying to figure it out. And then this year, we've figured it out, I feel. And it is real. We have history. We have relationships. We're normal, real people where nobody's like trying too hard. I mean, it was Tamara's first, swing back at this. So like, obviously she's going to swing hard, but like, she's also a seasoned veteran here. So she knows what she's doing and what to do. And it's helpful. It's helpful, that everybody's on board. Everybody makes sense. Everybody's the same goal. And it's good. I don't know why I felt the need to say that so much. Like, it's good. It's great. It's great. It's good. But it is.
No, it is. It's, I have a question. How did you... Okay, so we were talking about songwriters and how we get paid and how you end up in that world. I think people, besides your having side hustles like the skincare or the LTK or things like that, how do housewives get paid? And two, do you know anything about the ratings and where OC sits? Because I don't.
Okay, so we are obviously all have contracts. Everybody gets paid differently. So there's not really much like insight to that.
So you don't know unless you ask someone what they make.
Correct. And then even if you do ask them, do you really believe them? So it's not even worth it. I don't go there. I don't measure myself comparatively to anyone else. I'm just worried about myself and my own lane. I would say we do get paid well, not at first at all, but you do which makes sense like anything else, right? It's like at first you're just basically getting a chance. And then if you prove yourself through time and you're lasting, they're making an investment into you and then it pays off later down the line for sure. Right.
I heard an interview with Bethany recently that said she got $7,500 for the whole first season of New York.
Well, that's like, that was like 1,000 years ago. So I'm sure.
I know. It's just, I find it interesting because
but it is interesting, right? Yeah.
And
I think it's still not, I'll be honest, your first year is still not something that you could, especially in Orange County or any of these major cities, metropolis cities where these shows are taking place. It would be you're not living your lifestyle on what they're paying you at first.
Right,
but like also you're given a really good opportunity and then it is what you turn it into. But then even when you're getting paid well, it's sort of like being a professional athlete. It's all based on performance. If you get hurt in this industry, it's more equivalent to if you do something really stupid and start to like offend people or get yourself canceled or something like that, but it's not forever. A professional athlete can only play until they can play. Like this is like you're only on until you're not interesting anymore, or you can't take it anymore, or whatever. There's a million reasons, but this isn't the type of job that you can really count on for the long run, right? So you have to make other opportunities. And, a lot of the women, though, are married to very wealthy men. So that's their life,
Does, I always want to say, does Andy, because I know Andy is just a figurehead. I've heard him say over and over, look, I'm not making these decisions by myself. And clearly having an in with him is a good thing. But does Bravo get a piece of everything you do?
I don't know I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I would say yeah. So this is the way that I know that it works is it's NBC is that's the network I work for. And then Bravo is owned by NBC. And then then there's a production company that actually makes the show, Evolution Media. So I mostly interact with my production company unless it's something that is outside of the actual show, like BravoCon or Watch What Happens Live. Those are all different entities and have their own different coordination and stuff like that, and people working there. But yeah, I mean, it all funnels down at the end of the day, right? Just logically. But,
I think it makes a lot of sense. Owning a record label, I know when people their music is exploited by us and everybody then finds out who they are. Mm-hmm. There is a new sort of way that people are doing business where it's really hard to just make money off of the music that we make. So now they have what you call a 360 deal, which means the record label gets a piece of the publishing, a piece of the tickets sold. Because it's not a time where it used to be, if you sold 10 million records, that was $100 million. But that's not a thing anymore because people are single-minded. They only put out, they'll put out records, but you're only worried about one song and you can go and stream the shit out of that song. But you don't go to the record store and pay $12 for the whole album just to get that song. And so it's really hard to make money that way. So the reason I'm asking is, I was just curious as if because that was where the platform was built, what kind of say or what kind of kickback do they get since they're the ones putting you in your basic commercial every week? You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're still the, part of the network, and they're still like the channel. And then it all funnels up to NBC ultimately. But yeah, Bravo's calling the shots. On everything we're doing, and then with the production company kind of telling the production company, the production company does it. They do so much work and they're great. I really like my production company, but ultimately they answer to Bravo and Bravo answers to NBC.
So have you ever gotten a call or had a conversation with Andy Cohen that was about storyline or about the possibility of you staying, or is that not? Is that completely a facade that people think he's like calling you guys up and saying, because people will say, Andy, you need to get such and such to pull it together or do so, does he really?
No, I don't know, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but I will say, I do just think in general, different women have different relationships with him. I think probably a lot of the women think they can text him and complain about things and whatever. And, to a certain extent, if they can and they have that relationship, they can. I can tell you, I don't have that type of relationship with Andy. I don't really correspond. Like I'm have a rapport with him, obviously, and I adore him, but like I don't interact with him on that type of level.
I think it's also probably where you came in. How many housewives have there been at this point? It's not
right. There's like a million of us, right?
And there's
there's so many other ways that I can get my questions answered. I'm not going to like bother him with like some BS about, catty BS about my castmates. Like at the end of the day, even though we're the talent, we're really like low man on the totem pole. So I'm not going to like bother this executive who may or may not even know at that time what's even going on with the show, because he's not in the day to day. He doesn't know about the storyline until he's watching the content, I don't, and so I wouldn't do that. I'll tell you a nice story about Andy Cohen is this is the first time he ever texted me and reached out to me. It was following the incident that happened between myself and my ex-husband. And obviously that was a really scary, crazy time in my life. And he had I think it was iHeart, I'm not sure though, a radio show. He has his radio show. Yeah. And on his radio show, because now the rumors were starting to swirl, and he pretty much accidentally, inadvertently outed the fact that it was me. Like everyone knew that one of the women on the cast had a situation and but nobody knew that it was specifically me. Okay. And then he outed that, and then it was like all in the press. And to be honest, I was so busy with my real life and my situation with my children that I didn't even see any of that because I was in my real life situation. But he took the time to text me and personally apologize to me because he felt so badly that he had inadvertently outed that situation, and he understood the gravity of that situation. And that meant so much to me personally that he was willing to not just be like, oh, that was dopey, or even just the next day on his radio show apologize for that or whatever because it's not the best look. No, he took the time to, first of all, doesn't have, like it's not like I'm in his speed dial. Like he clearly had to ask him to get my phone number or whatever, and then personally reach out to me to accept responsibility for that and apologize. And for me, that showed me who Andy Cohen was. And so that is the basis for how I think about him, and that is how I regard him now. And he will always be that guy to me.
That's really nice. And it's also really nice that you don't put more expectations on him than that. I keep relating all of these things to my having a record label, my working with a lot of artists. And as that expands, feeling very responsible for all of these people. But a lot of people, I'm at a very far distance. Mm-hmm. So I think the way you handle that relationship is very commendable and probably rare, because I do think people have expectations of like on him. And so I think that's really valuable probably, and probably very respectable from his point of view that you are doing your thing and doing it so well, and really I know I can tell when he talks to you how much he likes you. I mean, that comes across because he doesn't hide those things well.
Yeah, he doesn't, right?
No, I've actually cringed at times some of the way he'll respond
sometimes it's so
to somebody else. Be like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm thankful. It's like I'm a part of it. And I think it's really cool that Andy I agree. Like he's very kind to me. He's very sweet to me. But it's also like we have appropriate boundaries, and I don't need to pretend boundaries. Yeah. Like I don't need to pretend like we're best friends. I think a lot of the other women like to pretend like they're best friends. Like his best friend is Sarah Jessica Parker. I'm not going to ever be Sarah Jessica Parker, and that's okay. Like but he's so kind to me. I remember even like, this was maybe last year, Travis came in and he was like, where are you guys going after dinner? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't even make a reservation because I'm always like last minute. He's no problem. He called up like one of the nicer restaurants and got me personally, and got me a reservation with Trav to go to dinner. Like he's just very I brought him last time because I was just in Nashville and I'm obsessed with the Google clusters. So I brought him Google clusters, but I didn't even, I just left them with Caroline, like my makeup artist there, who would put them on his desk. Great. Nothing. get a text message from him saying, "Oh my gosh, I love Goo Goo. Like, thank you so much for the Goo Goos." Like, he's
a class act. That's cool.
He's a class act, in my opinion. And so I do think that different women would think differently of him, but I think that's their own doing, because I do think it's what you said. I think some of the women have too high of expectations for somebody who also is a father of 2 children, goes to work every night and has odd hours. Let's be honest. I don't even know how he does that every day. And he works extremely freaking hard. And then throw in, I'm sure he would like to have some, small, like, personal life.
Right.
Plus
he's keeping it tight. I mean, his body.
He looks
every time
great.
I see like a shot of him like on the beach or something, I'm like, oh man.
Good for you, Andy, right?
He has a lot of time.
Yes. So
that was actually sarcasm. He has no time. I have no idea how he fits that in.
He must be pumping iron all day, every day, that man.
So great. Last question about the OC, specifically, because again, tying this to my music business mind, I'm always looking at the charts. I'm always looking at sales numbers. I'm looking at streaming numbers. Do you know anything about ratings, and do you watch that? And do you know where the OC falls in that world?
Honestly, I don't. I do see that things on like Instagram that people will say this was the ratings. I don't know if I should believe that, number one. And then number two, I also don't understand. And I think we should look more into this and then like talk about it, because I am really genuinely curious about this. How do they capture the ratings with people who stream on different applications? And then, because some people get it on Hulu, some people get it on Peacock, some people get it on Bravo, some people get it on the Bravo app. Like, and then not everybody, most people don't watch in real time, right?
They have ways now of they call it something I can't remember, but I've heard it, where they're able to, they'll do like a 7-day rating from, and then they'll do a 14. There's like, are people watching it 2 weeks later? Are people watching it a month later? So I think that 7-day is I think that's the big number.
Okay.
I can't remember, or the number they look at the most. I was just curious if there's like a ranking of housewives and where the OC falls, because
there definitely is for that, for sure, because it's just general viewership. And I want to say that Atlanta and Beverly Hills are the highest rated. Yeah. I don't know if that's true for this year.
I think it changes. Yeah.
But it definitely does, right? Just depending on whatever. I do think this is going to be a really strong year for OC, for sure. I mean, I'm watching it and I'm like, the episode that's dropping today, I'm like, what? This is interesting, and it's real, and it's really happening, and it's genuine, and I think it's great. I think it's entertaining, and I'm not blowing smoke, because I have not felt this way until this year. I really haven't.
That's amazing. Yeah. I feel that way. I feel that way too. I feel like, and I think Atlanta, if I remember, I think you're right. I mean, I think it has been the highest rated along the way. But I do think there is this particular cast you guys has really hit its stride here. I think it's it's funny.
It's good. It's good TV.
And there's it's good TV. I got to tell you, I'm really enjoying, and I can't believe I'd say it, I'm a diehard New York Housewives fan. I did not go into this new cast wanting to like it, and they're hard not to love.
I watched the first episode. I have to catch up, but I liked it. Me too. I think they're all very interesting. They're natural on camera. And I liked that in the first episode, they were arguing over like a cheese board. And I was like, see, this is what I want to watch. This is what I'm in for. Like, our season's getting already turning. And I'm like, even though it is still very personal and interesting, and it's too personal, the blows are getting lower and lower. And that's bothersome to me.
Is that a case of also, I don't know, I do feel like OC has played somewhat nice compared to the other franchises through the years. I mean, when you look at some of the things that have happened on New Jersey and Atlanta, you think, how do these people ever come back from this? They will never be able to be on camera together. And then somehow they are.
Yeah.
It's yet to be seen with this New Jersey Melissa and Teresa thing.
Yeah,
I have no
I know.
idea how they go on, but
this will be tough for me personally this year. After this year, it will be tough for me. And I still have to go into the reunion, which we are filming in like a week and a half. And it will be hard seeing what comes out of that. Honestly, it will be hard for me because I'm not a person I will not compromise my integrity, and I just won't. So if I feel that I cannot just sit at a table and go to lunch with someone because it will be compromising my integrity, I'm not going to do it. So this could be a more major year for me.
So having you watch what people have said in their confessionals, when you see those things after the show airs, how difficult is that to then go face these people? Maybe sometimes you thought you were doing okay with somebody, and then you see the show and you're like, wow, I didn't really know you felt that way about me.
Yeah. I mean, I generally try to let a lot of it go, like the stuff in the confessionals that's light. If somebody takes a light shot or it's a joke, I let it go because that's part of our job, Like where would we be if we didn't have that? I take shots certainly and make jokes, and nobody ever gives me...
Call people short.
I do. Well, I mean,
that's going to come up on the reunion.
I'm a truth teller. I mean, he's not very tall.
I know, but I mean, there's that whole situation is going to really be a reunion hot button more than him being short. I'm just saying.
I will tell you yes, because that is, and I do think also, I think there's a lot that now, I'll spill a little tea.
Please.
Because I chat with the women, and I know Jen's in a tough spot, right? Because she doesn't really know what to do.
Well at like trying to be forthright, I feel like. I mean,
she has. I think she's done phenomenal on the show, but I think that she's also just on a personal, real level, she's trying to figure it out, and she's kind of like, what the hell was that? And she just doesn't quite know. So certainly going into the reunion, I would think that, I mean, Tamara has a lot to hash out with a lot of people, right? So she's going to have to address her issues with Jen. She's going to have to address her issues with Heather. She's going to have to even address, even though they moved past it, obviously there was a lot at the beginning with Shannon. So there's a lot there for her. She's going to be in the hot seat, I think, for a hard minute. And then, everybody else has to work out their stuff too. Mine is always, it was always with Shannon, but I did have some stuff with Heather this year as well. It's hard for me when it's somebody who's really I care about them and they're really my friend. Like I really genuinely care about Heather, and I do really respect Heather and appreciate Heather. So for me, when we get into these things, it's harder because I don't want to be disrespectful and I don't want to cross a line and I don't want to get angry. But I also think that Heather is a rational person, and I think that Heather has the quality to look inward and apologize for her side of things. She does apologize.
I mean, you see that
she
a lot.
She does. And I'm okay. And it's genuine. So like I can move past things with her, and then I think it actually makes your friendship stronger.
Well, I am very much looking forward to hearing your takeaway from the reunion, and wishing you all the best in that endeavor.
You. Well, I'll be with you. The week, right? The day before, 2 days before. So
it's 2 days after we meet in New York.
Yes, and so we can have this, and we will be having on Emily Simpson. We're going to be doing a podcast from New York together. So
are you doing the reunion from New York?
No, I have to go. They'll fly me back on the 6th, and then I'll just stay in LA that night and then do the reunion the next day.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to see you in New York, and actually I think we'll be talking before then. But this was without topic one of the most times we stayed on topic, because what we did was we went through all of the music business and all of the OC business and the Bravo, and we showed how similar they are for one, and also found out from each other what we do in our respective roles that we didn't know before, even as good of friends as we are, because we hadn't had that kind of conversation. So good for us. Good for
us. Go Orange Country team, go.
Yeah. And so everybody like, subscribe, and Gina, do your pitch. You're so good at it.
I mean, you just have to keep doing what you guys are doing and we want to say a quick thank you, I think, too, because there have been, we have a healthy audience, and thank you for everybody who is listening. We appreciate you. Please continue to watch. Please please subscribe. It's super helpful for us. Post. Yes. If you guys post, tag us. Repost our postings, all that. We really appreciate you. And thank you for being a part of getting the Orange Country message out there.